What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Out of Our League, the show where we talk to our cool friends and people we look up to in the industry. Or so we say. It's mainly just people from Kind of Funny, but that's probably why you're here anyway. I'm your host, Gage. Let's see where I've got. Okay, I gotta look at the framing this time. I won't forget you, Ben. Don't worry. Down below,
Thanks, buddy.
We've got Phil. To his right, we have Robin. First time on camera, finally. And then we have Ben, bottom right corner. See, I didn't forget you this time. And above him, we have Kumail, who is on camera for like second time.
No square mail today. Yeah, I've got the webcam today.
Yeah, and of course, right there, we have our special guest of this week, Blessing Adeoye Jr. What is up, Blessing?
Very honored that you consider me somebody who is either cool or somebody that you look up to. That means a lot.
Anyone who likes Persona 5 Royal is up in my book. So
Yeah,
I appreciate it. As everyone should.
And you're from Kind of Funny, so that's a big plus too.
Yeah, that's definitely a plus. Like, so we've already had Tim on, we've had Nick on. Like, that seemed like good options to get on the show because Tim is, he's usually down for
the
anything.
Godfather.
Yeah.
And
Tim
then,
up on Get It.
Yeah, Nick. I mean, we had to have him on because we literally started this whole thing to make a video shitting on Nick, so it just felt right. Of course, we had Snow Mike over the weekend for the Photoshop challenge, but we definitely wanted to get you on, Blessing, because not only are you a member of Kind of Funny, but you're one of us. Like, you are literally someone who started off in the community, hanging out with people, making content, who has now made it to, arguably the big leagues. So you just seemed like one of the right options to get on the show as soon as possible.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate you guys reaching out. I was talking to you guys before the show, and I mentioned that I recognize most of you guys from the Photoshop challenges and see you guys float around on Twitter, and I recognize names for writing questions and you're wrong and all that stuff. And so yeah, I think what you guys are doing here is really awesome, really cool. I really like the idea that out of Tim canceling shows comes comes inspiration, right? And a new show grows from that. And so This is all awesome. I appreciate the invite, and this is all really cool.
Definitely. Well, we're glad to have you on. I know some of you guys had questions and stuff you wanted to ask at some point. But the first question is, Blessing, we all really want to know, how's Cyberpunk?
I wish I could tell you. I wish I was playing the game. Everybody thinks that I'm hiding my trophies because of Cyberpunk, and I can guarantee that is not the reason. I almost made my trophies free this morning because just to prove that, hey, I'm hiding nothing. It's not that I'm playing Cyberpunk. It's not that I'm doing anything. I just forgot to make my trophies public, and now I'm making a bit out of it. And I'm doing it mainly to annoy Greg because he wants so badly for me to free my trophies, and I'm not going to do it anymore.
Can I just commend your media training? Just perfect response. You didn't even blink at all. But come on, Bless. We all know.
I wish I was on this one.
That's good.
Yeah.
So it's your second job to just annoy Greg then? Between the trophies and the Halloween King, is it just to annoy Greg?
Yeah, but usually he starts it because nobody cared about my trophies until Greg asked the question, why am I hiding my trophies? And that to me that pops up the question of why are you looking at my trophies? Why are you checking on me? What is there that you're curious to see? There's nothing that everything I play I talk about on podcasts, and so there's nothing, especially for Greg, that I feel like he has to be curious about, because even if I was playing Cyberpunk on PlayStation, Greg would be very aware of that. Greg would know. And so I don't know why he's trying to figure out what is the thing I'm doing. Unless he has mistrust, where he's what if Blessing went out rogue and started getting Cyberpunk codes behind his back or something like that, which would be genius, which I wish I had the pull to do. But yeah, no, to all that, right, with the Halloween King thing and with the trophies thing, and with that, with our back and forth in general, right? Usually it's me trying to figure out, all right, Greg is starting up a thing, whether it's me not knowing the Halloween colors, which is factual, I did not know the Halloween colors, or whether it's him trying to figure out what the trophy business is. My goal when it comes to content is figuring out how to take that, turn around jujitsu style, and make Greg suffer because of it. And so me not freeing the trophies is another method of me trying to find a way to make Greg suffer.
Well, keep it up. I know a lot of people enjoy the banter you have with Greg.
Yeah.
Are you guys looking forward to Cyberpunk? How excited are you guys?
Oh yeah,
Very much so.
I'm personally going to wait till next gen copies. I'm excited, but yeah, probably just going to wait a little while.
That's
what
my
I
thing
wanted
as
to
well. Is I'm excited about Cyberpunk, but I don't have access to a high-end PC that could play it on maximum settings. So I'm kind of waiting for that PlayStation 5 moment of being able to play it in its true form on consoles. And
Mhm.
so I'm trying not to get super hyped for it, but I know inevitably, depending on how the review cycle goes and how like the chatter about the game goes, I'm probably going to end up buying it anyway.
Well, that's kind of the beauty of a game like Cyberpunk, though, is the fact that there's obviously you have your three starting points you
Life
can
paths,
pick.
yeah.
Life paths. But the fact that it's a CD Projekt Red game, it's huge that you could probably spend 100 hours on current gen and then jump into next gen and play a different life
Yeah,
path, and it'll
continue.
feel like a brand new game essentially. So there's always that option too. It's not going to be like, oh shit,
Yeah.
I already beat it on PlayStation 4. It's like, no, you didn't. I don't think anybody's gonna be able to beat that game for a long time.
Yeah, if I didn't feel obligated to play it for podcasts and stuff, I would probably just wait for it to come to next gen. Just because, like, now that we've had PS5 for what, like a month or almost a month. Like if I feel like I'm truly in the next gen mode where if I jump back into a PS4 game and I don't have performance mode and I don't have 60 FPS and 4K and all this stuff, like it feels kind of like a step back, and I don't want to play Cyberpunk in that form. But it's still Cyberpunk, and I feel like the reasons why we're going into that game are more so for the story and the world and the narrative and the characters and all that stuff, and like stuff that probably goes beyond just the performance and like how clean everything looks and how smooth everything runs. And so like I definitely agree that I could see a case where I play this game on PS4 and maybe do like one run that is a 30-hour, if I can beat the game in 30 hours, right? Like a 30-hour run on let's say like the Street Kid life path. And then once it comes to PS5, I start again from the Nomad life path and I put in like 60 hours or whatever by like doing different things, doing way more side quests and actually engrossing myself into that game. I think that could be a cool way to approach it. But either way, I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
Just you mentioned there that you feel sort of obliged to play it because of the podcast and stuff like that. So moving to kind of funny, has your enjoyment of games changed, or has it been the same because of OK Beast and stuff like that? Has it just been the same?
OK Beast definitely started the path of playing video games kind of turning into a job / responsibility, where before OK Beast, right, I never really felt obligated at all to play anything. I was playing things for my own enjoyment. I was playing things at my own pace. I didn't feel the need to want to play every single big game that came out or every single like indie game that came out. And so like once I started doing OK Beast and once I started doing podcasts weekly, I found myself sort of growing to the point where I would play a different game every week. So I'd either have something new to talk about or so that I could keep up with what the conversation was. Now that might kind of funny, it's been a weird sort of evolution of that because like there's nowhere in our conversations have I've talked to Tim or Greg or anybody and they've been like, you gotta keep playing a new game every week. You gotta have something different to talk about on podcasts. That's just something like that I've naturally have grown into like over the years, like listening to podcasts and wanting to know what all the different games are and wanting to be able to have something to say. It's been really interesting this year playing Persona 5 Royal and like having that game take up about like I want to say like 5 to 6 months out of my year. And like having something to say about that specific game for like half the year. It's been fun because like I think what I've started to realize is that with kind of funny, there are enough different voices to where I personally don't have to play a new game every week. That doesn't stop me from playing a new game every week. Like I'm sure if I went back on all the podcasts, I probably talked about a different game on each episode. But like I don't necessarily have that obligation anymore. That said,
Cool.
I still feel the need to stay up to date and like stay fresh in terms of the game I play. But on the kind of funny side of it, that I think is nice more so than the LKB side of it. On the kind of funny side, if I can play and discover new games or games that people aren't talking about whatsoever and get to talk about them on podcasts and feel like I have the ability to either elevate those games or introduce people to a game that they might not have heard of or weren't aware of, which is one of the reasons why on PS Love You we do the segment within X's and O's that is PlayStation Picks. Oh, whoa! Look
Ladies
at this.
and gentlemen,
Whoa!
Kind of Funny's very own Greg Miller.
Blessing,
What
stop
is happening?
lying. Stop lying that you care about trophies, and stop hiding your trophies. More importantly, let us know what you're hiding, Mr. Adeoye. All
I
right,
don't
you
think
want
I
to be the
ever
face
lied
of
about-
video games? No,
I've said-
you
I
lied.
said
You
clearly
told
that I don't care
when
about
you were
trophies.
hired, you said you would allow your trophies to be seen by
I
the
don't
Kind
think
of
I
Funny
said
best
that.
friends, and then you got here and you went back on that. And I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, is this really how a king of Halloween would act?
It is
How'd
not.
you even get in here?
Don't worry about how I have tendrils in every Discord in the world. All right, don't
my
worry
lord.
about that. You worry about yourself. You look in the mirror tonight and you say, "Am I really representing myself and Kind of Funny the way I should by hiding my trophies?" Merc City 64. That's what we're saying.
I appreciate it. By the way, Greg, you should come on the show sometime for an actual full episode. It sounds like you're a coward and don't want to commit. You should commit being on
Oh,
the
what's
show.
that, Jen? I gotta go.
Damn. I tried. I very much tried. How did he get into this Discord channel?
I'm absolutely terrified. I don't feel safe anymore.
He like follows me everywhere, and I can't escape that man. I don't know how he does it.
Oh
He just
shit!
appears places. God damn.
Oh shit!
Oh my god.
He just appears places, man. I forgot what I was talking about.
What a legend! What a legend! Honestly, what a legend of the game.
Oh god, that was it.
Oh.
We peaked. That was it.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. As I was saying though, right? PlayStation Picks, please love you XOXO. But it's awesome to be able to do that segment, right? Where I'm like looking for the games that are coming out each week that are either unique or that seem like games that people would have interest in that they may not know of. I find that enjoyable, and being able to try out those types of games enjoyable and talk about them on podcasts really fun. And so my gaming habits have changed in that sense. And like, you know, part for not the worst, but part making it more of a job in terms of reviewing stuff and feeling I have to beat games by a certain date. But on the other side, right, like getting to play whatever game and talk about them and have it be this thing of either curation or elevating them is always a fun thing.
Guys, could I just follow up on that and just say to Bless that thank you very much for coming in and bringing back PS I Love You XOXO, because it's definitely been a staple of my week every week, and it's been
awesome.
so nice being able to hear a PlayStation centric conversation going on every week. Like you said, you brought in new ideas like that I never can remember the name, but the top 100 PlayStation games of the year or whatever.
I can't
it's
either.
called. But yeah, you introduced
PSN games
like
ranked or something.
yeah, you introduced games like Under Night in Birth and stuff like that, and sort of the question I sort of had was, is PS I Love You XOXO where you want it to be right now, or have you got more ideas for the show and how to evolve the show?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think
Oh, thank you.
the
Shut up, Camille.
the thing I like about doing weekly podcasts is that like they can grow and evolve, and you can add new segments, take away new segments, and or take away old segments, and have the podcast grow with the audience and grow with the host, and like in terms of what feels good and what doesn't. And so like I remember towards the beginning of the year having conversations, or even before the beginning of the year, right? When we decided that we're going to bring back PS I Love You, and I had conversations with Greg of what does that look like. I remember having the conversation of, all right, we have KFGD, which is video game news. We have Gamescast, which is where we usually talk about what we're playing during the week. Like, what are we going to talk about on PS I Love You? Like, are we going to talk about news? Are we going to talk about what we're playing? And that became kind of toward the beginning in the planning stages, right? Like that back and forth struggle of, all right, are we repeating ourselves too much? Like, how do we make this show its own thing? And that's kind of what I've loved about the show over the course of the year is, I've been able to hit up Greg and be like, hey, like, can I do the X and O so we can have more of like a back and forth dynamic to the show? Because I know the show kind of had that kind of thing beforehand, right, in its original form, and he was down with that. Okay, cool. What if I added in segments within X's and O's so I can divide things up because the PlayStation blog is taking away the drop? I can maybe add my own replacement to the drop being PlayStation Picks. Cool. All right. What if we then took PlayStation specific news and then put it under an umbrella that is PlayStation updates, so it can be like this quick and done thing, so that we aren't doing a whole KFGD episode within PS I Love You. All right, cool. Yeah, like that sounds like a good fit. And throughout the course of the year, having those changes, having each episode kind of start off with this topic of the show, I think has grown the show to the point now where I look at it and I'm like, yes, this is clean. This is the way that I think the show should continue to grow and evolve. And like there are ideas that I have for 2021 and that I want to talk to Greg about in terms of like viewing seeing how we view the show currently, seeing how we view the show throughout the course of 2020 and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And like, I think the thing for PSLW, right? The thing I love about PSLW is that it is very much hey, it's two people kicking it about video games and about PlayStation. And how do we keep that energy to it without having to feel too structured? Like, do we don't necessarily have to do an X's and O's every week. We don't necessarily have to do certain reader mail every week, right? Like, how do we make every episode fit to what works that week? And I think for us, right, like I like the PlayStation specific segments like Trophy Talk, even though I don't necessarily care about trophies. And like, the PSL photo mode that we just added, I think is a good example of that also. I want to continue to do stuff like that and continue to make it make PSLW the number one place that PlayStation fans can go to for like a PlayStation podcast, right? Like how do we make this podcast a PlayStation as podcast? And like I for 2021, me and Greg haven't really had that conversation yet, but I do want to have that conversation with him of how do we keep doing that? Like what does that look like? And for where we're at right now, I think we're at an awesome place. I'm always at the place of how do we get better? How can we grow? And so there's still that.
Cool. Cheers, Bless.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite things about the bringing back PS I Love You is the fact that it's been really hard for me to keep up on every single episode of something like Games Daily since it's happening every single day and there's only so much time that I have to listen, as well as play games and do stuff like that. And so bringing back PS I Love You and having the XCast has been perfect for me, like a perfect balance of kind of still getting that gaming news, and being able to catch up on current gaming events. So yeah, it was absolutely brilliant to bring that back, and definitely one of my favorite things to happen thus far, and I see how it changes and evolves in the future. So yeah, thank you.
Now, let me ask you guys this question: is there a way you'd like to see it change and evolve?
I can't
feel free to just tear it apart.
I think you guys should just stop, honestly.
Yeah.
No,
it's pretty shit, to be honest. No, I'm joking.
Fucking hell, Gage, really?
No, honestly,
it's truth bombs.
It's kind of hard to like try to criticize it, especially now because obviously it's a whole new challenge. You guys having to work from home and everything. So like even with all of that, you guys have managed to somehow make everything look ridiculously professional. I went back recently and watched like I think it might have been an earlier episode of the Kind of Funny podcast or KFAF or something from like March, and just the jump from there, everything from your guys's the cameras you guys are using, the mics you guys are using, the lighting, all these different things to now is such a drastic shift from, hey, it's a bunch of guys working at home to, hey, it's a bunch of people with home studios that look professional. That it's gotten to the point where there's not a whole lot to criticize. Like you guys kind of got everything down beat for beat, where it's just like, I could say maybe sometimes take a breather because holy shit, you guys move kind of fast at times. But overall, it's like, yeah, you guys are killing it. So good job on all that stuff, man.
Yeah, it's all the whole work from home thing has been really like it's been like a rough transition because I remember having the conversation at the studio of like Greg, Tim, and Nick calling us in and being like, hey, I think we're gonna do work from home for now with the pandemic and all that stuff. And like I think the conversation for us was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be 2 to 3 weeks, and then we'll be right back after that period. All right, cool, yeah, whatever. And like in my mind, I was of the mind of like, hey, like we can do audio only podcasts, like phone it in for the next 3 weeks because this is what it is, and we can get back to work. And we're getting back home, and that first week I was like, all right, this kind of sucks, but we'll be back to the studio soon enough. And then by week 2, I was like, all right, this still sucks. Can't wait to get back to the studio. Week 3 hits, and it's like, all right, might be a couple more weeks. and by like month 2, I'm like, all right, maybe by month 3 we'll be back. And yeah, it wasn't until like June, I think, or July, where I was like, okay, well, this might be a longer thing. Which like I think prompted us all to be like, all right, well, how do we get this stuff to look better and be better and like be more convenient? Because for me, I for the first however many months, I hated doing podcasts from home. I still kind of do, but like, you know, I'm trying to roll with it. Like I'm trying to like not let that be an excuse for me to like be grumpy throughout the whole process, right? And like I think you're right that we have gone to a place where compared to March to where we're at now, like the process has been way smooth, and we like our setups look way better. And I'm still like I still want to get more stuff on my wall. I've been lazy about that, but like, you know, aside from that, I'm very like happy with how my camera angle and setup and background, all that stuff looks. That said, right, like, you know, it's always hard. I'm one to want to critique myself a lot when it comes to this stuff, especially with work from home, because I feel like that's been such a big hamper. But yeah, no, like it's been a journey, and like I'm very excited at some point, hopefully next year, hopefully not too long, to get back into the studio and like actually do shit and like get back to our true form, because I think once that hits, like we'll that'll then inherently elevate the content in a way that you know, it's hard to kind of plan around and do while working from home.
Blessing,
I
I
guess
have toilet paper and unwrapped Christmas presents.
But you got
in my
Charmin
background.
Ultra, and Charmin, if you're gonna have toilet paper in the background, Charmin is a great brand to go with.
I agree with you, but I'm just saying you're doing all right.
Yeah, I don't have like
but-
my other bed anymore too, which like
The,
my
the
other
big
bed,
ass,
yeah.
bed post that was just sticking right up half into the frame.
bed post that would like take off half the frame, look like the whole room looking like it's from like the 1800s.
Yeah.
You know, like I miss that room
And-
because it was big, but also I don't miss it because it was not as aesthetically pleasing.
Right.
And going into the energy and the bits and things that you guys have created, I think that was what was kind of missing in the earlier quarantine shows, was like that in studio energy, because there was always you were physically interacting with someone, you were having somebody come into the frame, you were calling somebody into the room, and so there was always this kind of bouncing energy in the in studio shows that in the early quarantine shows was kind of lost. But I feel
For
like
sure.
when you as you guys kind of figured things out and kind of upgraded the setups and stuff, and then these bits started happening, like the Halloween King thing, it really recreated a lot of that energy that was missing. And yeah, I mean, I think the shows are some of the best they've ever been now. And
Thanks,
it's
man.
been fantastic to watch and see you guys grow and kind of work through these trials and tribulations. I mean, yeah, it's been great.
Can we just mention that one moment where he just like leaves his Halloween jacket on the chair and then comes out of nowhere with a second one?
Yeah,
That was good.
One of the best
That
moments
was
ever.
good.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Yeah, I forgot what was going on that week, but like I remember coming out of the first episode with the original Halloween jacket, and then like I think Greg had some sort of response or something where I was like, all right, what is going to be my response to that? And yeah, that's when I was like, well, I do have a second Halloween jacket that I haven't revealed yet. And so like maybe I'll make that the big reveal. And I'm so glad that hit as well as it did.
Genius.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's good.
And then as far as things with PS I Love You, I think it's great. I think the rotating bits are great. I do miss the dream segment. That was one of my kind of favorite things
Yeah.
that you guys were doing.
I miss
And
that
I
too,
know there's
honestly.
been a lot going on, so it's not as easy to do. But yeah, I miss kind of you guys finding some weird thing to play in dreams just so I could go check it out after the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah, and that's actually a good one to point out. And like I kind of want to bring it back because I think that dream segment died in the similarly to how like dreams kind of died down in terms of
Yeah.
people talking about it, you know, because other games came out and then all of a sudden it's like, well, am I gonna find time to play dreams when I'm trying to review Doom Eternal and all this different stuff? But now that you mention it, like I think it would be cool to bring that back in some form, because like that's the thing that's cool about the show is that it is uniquely PlayStation, and so we can do things that feel niche. You know, we can like go into dreams in a way that like, you know, if it doesn't, it's not like it's not a weird out of place thing for a PlayStation podcast, because it is such a PlayStation linked game. It is the thing that can make us unique and separated. And so, yeah, no, I miss playing dreams too.
I've just thought of a great idea for Simply Sassy content. The not PS
Oh,
I
no.
Love You XOXO Dreams segment.
Oh my God, please. I highly recommend
Stop
that I
working
keep
on the
talking
logo.
about crap. I forget what is. Oh no, I think it's called Opposite Day. There's a Dreams game, or like a series of Dreams games in Dreams called Opposite Day that's made by the same guy, and it is my favorite thing in Dreams. Period. It is like a walking simish comedy game where a dude is basically like, how can I make like basically like an anti-comedy, like you're walking through these corridors, and at every turn there's like a different bit or a different like joke, or like it's almost like if Nick Scarpino made a video game, like it's that kind of thing. Highly
Inverted
recommend it.
controls and everything.
Everybody, oh yeah, I'm sure there's a bit there in regarding inverted control. In fact, I'm like positive there's a bit in there regarding inverted controls. Highly recommend anybody who is into Dreams check that out, because I absolutely love that thing.
It was a pretty solid game. I honestly haven't given it much time. I got the early access, and I played that like twice. It was cool, but then the full game came out, and it's like, oh, there's trophies and stuff, and there's like a story you can play. And I booted up, and it's like, hey, we're gonna teach you how to play. And I'm like, can I just jump into a game, please? It's like, no, we're gonna teach you how to play. Motion controls. Move your controller. I'm like, I'm out. I can't do this, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm not using motion controls on a DualShock. It's such a pain in the ass.
I learned all the tools, and then I went away on holiday, and I could not remember anything when I came back.
Yeah, it's cool though. I've seen some of the creations people have made. Like there's been people putting like videos and stuff out of like photorealism stuff they've made using Dreams, which is
incredible.
Yeah, of course.
Going into the actual game and seeing that stuff is insane, because like it looks as good as it looks on social media. You're like, how did you make this thing and put it in a game? Like this is incredible. And also like the main Dreams campaign art stream is really cool. And I highly recommend anybody check it out. It's fun because it has so much stuff in Dreams has the indie game energy, like obviously so, because it is stuff that is made by the user. And like it's just out of this world to see the creativity that flows out of people. Even in the Dreams campaign art stream, like playing that thing feels like I'm playing a really cool like narrative indie game. And toward the end of it, like I found myself getting like slightly emotional, because I was like, whoa, what a really cool thing video games can do, where it is this part platformer, part choose your own adventure game, part I forget what the third part is, but part something else. I think part another platformer. I think it's a 2D platformer and a 3D platformer in there. And like to see such cool creative energy just flow out of people in that way, it's so fun. And Dreams encourages it so well with its style and quirkiness and weird narration. Like it has so much going for it, and so people should go out and play Dreams if they haven't, if they're listening to this.
Yeah, there's
I'm kind of
there's a lot of
that Ben. Sorry, go for it. I was
just going to say really quick. There's a lot of really cool, even kind of funny best friends, like people in the community. Obviously, people in the community are way too freaking talented. First of all, y'all are amazing. And yeah, so at Legend of Sketchy, Darren is a kind of funny best friend who is constantly posting his dream stuff, and it's fantastic. I just sent Gage a kind of a set painting he did of like a sinking ship when a sunset. I don't know if he can bring that on screen at some point. Not
Here,
obviously, I don't
I'll
think
do it
for
the
us
easy
to
way.
see, but okay. Yeah.
Technology.
Oh my God.
Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Simply Sassy way.
So that's at Legend of Sketchy, and he's fantastic. He does a bunch of stuff in Dreams, and it's just so cool to see that stuff. And I'm glad that some of the community is doing it, and yeah, it's great to see.
Yeah, definitely check it out. It's great work. I love it.
I was just going to say, I'm sort of glad that Ben. Yeah, I was sort of glad that you sort of dropped Dreams and couldn't get back into it, because could you imagine? We get enough photoshops about Milk Mummy. Could you imagine it in Dreams?
Milk Mummy.
Imagine a Milk Mummy
God.
horror game. Milk Mummy
Ben
horror
made me
game.
do it in. Oh, was it you, Camille? You're the one who made me do it.
Yeah, it was me.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, we put Kevin in Unreal 4.
I don't think I
Oh
shared that.
God.
I did it on stream. I took the Milk Mommy photo, made it black and white like a height map, and then applied it to a landscape. So when you go up above like this landmass and look down, it's Milk Mommy's face. It's horrifying.
Terrifying.
It's amazing.
I don't want
though.
anything to do with that.
It's so
Blessing's
good,
like, I'm
though.
out.
I'm out.
So
I mean, I've got a lot of questions.
yeah,
for
I was
Bless.
gonna say, I know you've got a lot of stuff to say, so please keep host the show.
I guess. No, I guess. Is that sarcasm? I guess one of
No,
the
it's
biggest
sass, you idiot.
questions on my biggest question on my mind was, this is your first year in Kind of Funny. What has it been like for you joining Kind of Funny? Is it everything you expected it to be? Has things surprised you? Or yeah, just what's your general experience this year with Kind of Funny?
I mean, it's such a weird year because of COVID and working from home and all that stuff. And so like inherently, no, it's not what I expected. That said, like in terms of being on shows and like and actually like hosting KFGD and all that stuff, like it's been such an interesting experience because for OK Beast, like at OK Beast, we did tons of podcasts, right? But like we never did a daily news show, and we never did like a like we had the OK Beast podcast, which was once a week, and then we also had like a couple other podcasts that might be once a week or might be like a 6-week series or whatever it may be. And so like we'll podcast often, but I think part of me wasn't prepared for how different it would be at KF podcasting almost multiple times a day, right? Like up to 3 times a day, depending on what the day is. And like that kind of threw me for a loop for quite a while because it's like having an opinion about video games every day was way more difficult than I thought than having an opinion about video games like once a week, right? Like hosting a weekly podcast, you know, like cool. Like I can come through. What went on during the week? Okay, cool. Like E3 got canceled. Doom Eternal is great, and like whatever the other third news story is, cool. Let's talk about this and kick it for an hour. Cool, we're done. See you next week. Whereas KFGD, KFGD keeps me on my toes. Like KFGD is one of those ones where I'm like, cool. Like if I'm hosting around, I'm like, what are the news stories for the day? And I look into it and I'm like, sweet. I know, like I'll look through. Usually I stick to like 5 to 7 stories. You know, I'll go through like the 5 big stories of the day, right? And like 4 of them, I'm like, cool, I know about this shit. And then I get to the 5th one and I'm like, all right, this is a bad example because I know who Casey Hudson is, but like Casey Hudson leaves BioWare, and then I'm like, okay, cool. Who's Casey Hudson? How much does he mean to BioWare? What's the history of that? All right, well, how do I like? What are the talking points to this? That turns into its own challenge in and of itself, which for me has been like a cool learning and growing experience because I think over the year I've gotten better about like figuring out like either pre-researching things or figuring out like, okay, which talking points am I able to speak to and which talking points am I not able to speak to, and how do I navigate a conversation in a way where I'm speaking to my strengths and I'm speaking about things I understand about. And so that's been a really fun experience. But even zoomed out from that, right? Like I mean, this year I expected to like meet like in person way more people in the industry and go to a bunch of different events. Like I expected to go to E3, I expected to go to Evo, I expected to go to GDC, I expected to go to PAX for my first time as a Kind of Funny employee, right? I expected to host panels at like RTX, which I did do online, right, but didn't get to do at the actual venue. And all that stuff has actually been like, you know, I mean, obviously not to my expectation, which again, like understandable, not the worst thing in the world. Like that, it makes sense why that's the case. But there's that. There's also like I was thinking about this yesterday, right? That like I've not met a Kind of Funny best friend in real life since like February. Like I think since I got hired, there was one instance where I met somebody in real life, and it was at Nick's one of Nick's comedy shows where a best friend came up and they were like, "Oh, Blessing," like, and I was like, "Oh, snap!" Like you watch the content and all that stuff when you got to chop it up a bit. I've not done that since February, which feels like a weird thing because even as part of a part of OK Beast, right? Like through PAX and through events and through whatever, usually I'd meet people who either listened to OK Beast or knew me from the Kind of Funny community, and like we are able to chop it up in that way. And so this year has been kind of this fascinating, like being distanced from the community sort of thing in a weird way that I wasn't expecting. But again, it kind of comes back to like, okay, yeah, well, there are reasons for that. Like, what are you going to do with the state of the world? But yeah, so much of that has colored my experience working at KF this year, in a way that like has me looking forward to next year and the year after and like later years where we are able to get back into the world and actually converse with people and go to events and host things. But yeah, no, it's just been such a weird year because of that stuff.
To bounce off of
Robin?
that, real quick, we have a community question from Caesar Towers. He says he wants to ask like, how was it moving to a brand new city, far away from home, but also to go off the pandemic,
Mhm.
not exactly get to experience said city because of lockdown.
Oh yeah, it's the absolute worst. It's the worst, especially because San Francisco is so expensive, and so like we moved down here, and it's like, okay, cool. Well, the trade off I'm getting is that I'm working at a job I really want, and then also like I get to experience San Francisco as a city, cool. And then like you get to San Francisco, and all of a sudden, boom, like I can't really experience San Francisco as a city anymore because of everything. And so like that experience, like frankly, sucks a lot, but at the same time, like, I'm not too bummed out about it, because like I'm coming down here from Seattle, which is a city that I really like. I really love Seattle living there. I only lived there for about 4 years. Before that, I lived in Illinois, because I grew up in Illinois. And uh, like it's not like if I still lived in Seattle, I would have still been experiencing that city either. And so it's kind of this weird, like, yeah, what was I gonna do anyway, right? If I hadn't moved down here, I would have saved a little bit on rent. Maybe that's about it. And so like there's that, but yeah, overall, like it's still cool being down here, right? Because I do get those small instances of SF. Like right now, I live in Daly City, and I feel like I've gotten so familiar with Daly City in a way that I wasn't expecting, just because I've been stuck in Daly City. And so, like, all the local spots I've been hitting up a lot. I've walked around quite a bit, like either to go to the 7-Eleven or go grocery shopping or go to Jollibee or whatever it may be. And in those small ways, I've gotten to experience this part of the Bay. I've barely gotten to experience SF. It feels like outside of like January and February, going to bars and going to comedy shows and stuff. But another one of those things where I'm like, all right, well, look to the future, right? Like this year is going to wash in that way, but who knows what 2021, 2022 brings in terms of stuff. Fingers crossed, like normalizing and getting back to a place where we're able to do things.
Nope.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's a bit tough to kind of predict now, because like you said earlier on, everybody expected this to be like, oh, 2 weeks, 3 weeks or something. And it's like, cool, it's been like 9 months or whatever. So
It's like I'm still at home.
like, is this
It's 9 months.
is it ever gonna end? Probably
Think
not.
about the fact that we are 2 months away from Blessing getting hired. Like, what?
Yeah, like a month away actually. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, less than a month.
Losing track of time, clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So what's your anniversary date for Kind of Funny? What was the day you got hired?
I mean, well, my first day of the job would have been January 4th or 5th, whatever. Like the Kind of Funny day was my first day on the job.
Nice.
Got it.
Yeah.
Figured if it's January
So-
4th.
We're approaching it slowly.
Yeah, January 4th.
Do you guys
Robin,
have
did
any? I
What?
feel like this is a fun question for me. Do you guys have any expectations on what January, or I'm just gonna say Kind of Funny day is for next month? Like, do you have any predictions?
If things are going
Can,
better,
can we
I'm
just get
hoping it's-
another like?
go for it, Camille.
So I was just saying, can we get another round of bless who? Because that's
Ooh,
always pretty
That'd
fun.
be great.
Oh man,
I'm just hoping that
I can prepare. Yeah, I could probably get that going. Actually, now that I think about it.
I'm hoping things are cleared up enough that we can get like an announcement on like
Studio.
the studio like opening event party or whatever,
Right.
and like the Kind of Funny up and comer and stuff like that, because I was super hyped for that, and I was like working on a bunch of stuff. I'm like, I'm gonna go for it, and then it's like, hey, COVID. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be cool to
That's
kind of
really
see that stuff happen.
the biggest thing for me is like it's all question marks. Like usually you're always kind of anticipating the next big event that Kind of Funny is going to do. All the gatherings, like the meetups that they're going to do throughout the year. And with the uncertainty of the future, it's so hard to think about like, are they going to do like a giant Zoom call with like a bunch of Kind of Funny best friends? Are they going to shoot for getting into the new studio and just doing like a socially distanced version of the studio? I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, it is definitely.
It's gonna be exciting.
Please be
Is
excited.
it though?
Yeah, hell yeah,
We'll
I'm
see.
excited.
See. I think we have our meeting scheduled for a bit later, and so like I'm in the place where I'm like I'm excited to see what this is gonna be because I don't even know.
I mean,
Let's see what Tim has up his sleeve.
That's what I was going to say. It's always amazing to see how Tim thinks of ways to drive the business. Like if there's anything that man knows how to do, it is market. He is so good at finding like the sponsorships and finding deals that, make and expand the business. And it's just always amazing to see how he expands that stuff and figures that stuff out.
I've got an idea for the little thermometer thing you usually do. Is like £60,000 or dollars. Blessing reveals his trophies finally.
Yes.
You can keep that ruse
Oh
on
my
play.
God,
It's gonna be so disappointing though when I reveal my trophies and it's like, oh yeah, he's been playing all the things he said he's been
It's the
playing.
curiosity that kills you. It's definitely the
Don't do
curiosity
it,
that
please.
kills you.
Don't do it, buddy. Double down on it. Don't show it, okay? As someone that doesn't show their own trophies, just I'm Team Bless on this one. You double down, buddy.
Because like honestly, if Greg hadn't called me out, I probably wouldn't have revealed my trophies. I probably would have just like, yeah, fuck it. Like who cares about what my trophies are? Now that Greg has caused a storm about it, I'm like, well, I feel like I had to show them at some point because I didn't intend for this to be a gimmick. that I'm the guy that won't show his trophies, and so now I'm just like, all right, what do I do? Do I just show them just because fuck it, or do I just keep them and then have people speculating like, what is he playing? Is he really playing God of War Ragnarok? Like, what is it?
You ever think?
And the answer is yes. I am playing Ragnarok.
So Kind of Funny is obviously known for like all the little shticks and stuff. You ever just sit there and think how stupid all of them are, yet they're so fantastic
all the time in the middle of them? Like it took me 1 week for the King of Halloween stuff for me to be like, this is ridiculous. What are we doing? Like why are we like this?
Okay, that one's good because the game is content, so I can't complain about
that.
that.
That's true. That's true. But even with the trophy thing, I'm like, all right, cool. How long can this last? How long can Greg keep this up? And the answer might be
content.
Forever, which is scary.
That should be a Photoshop challenge. What trophies is Blessing hiding?
Oh,
Hannah Montana, the movie, the game, maybe.
Such your favorite game, Ben?
I got the platinum in there. That's a great game, dude.
Hannah Montana, the movie, the game.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Surprisingly fun.
I don't think I realized it was a Hannah Montana the movie. Let alone a game based on the movie.
It's got some jams in it, actually.
It's like Ratchet and Clank 2015.
Yeah.
Speaking of great games,
Or
Blessing.
16. What's up?
Here we
There
go.
it goes.
How
There it
fucking
goes.
good Nier Automata, dude.
Oh my god, finally somebody with taste.
Blessing, I've been stuck with these fucking degenerates for 6 months now. I wouldn't fucking recognize a good game that was giving them head on their birthday.
Hey,
So how fucking good is Nier Automata, dude?
Nier
was-
Automata is
it was great the first playthrough, and then 3 hours into the 3 hours into the second playthrough, I'm like, fuck this.
Did you get into the third playthrough at all?
No.
Oh, you fucked up.
Of course he fucking didn't.
I still have it, so like I do want to get back to it eventually, but it's just like I thought the story and like the characters were phenomenal, but that's what kind of turned me off from it was, for one, like the technical side of it. I'm like, why is the PS4 Pro enhancement giving me 1080p? Like it's a good looking game, but it's not like
Imagine seeing like a piece of Picasso artwork and being like, why is this 1080p? You know, like
because Picasso's
that's
good.
what you're saying to me right now.
No, it was a lot of fun, but like
said
when
Mona Lisa fine.
I beat it, and then it's like, cool, now I have to play it again, which is totally fine, but it's
But you
like
don't, though.
but you kind of do, because you're playing
No, you
as
don't.
9S, but then you're still playing the same thing for about 3 hours before it finally branches off, and I'm like,
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say,
don't
here's
want
the
to
thing,
do this again.
you can't think of it as playthroughs. You have to think of it as endings. And I know that sounds like the same exact thing, but like the
Okay.
different endings are very much like sequels to each other in a way where you start to play as 9S and you start to get a different perspective on playthrough A, and then once
Fair.
you start to get to the later ones, it's like, oh no, I'm playing a sequel to the
Okay,
things
how
I was just
many-
playing, and this is fucking fantastic.
How many playthroughs do I have to play though to like finish it, to finish the overarching story?
Like 3,
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
it's
3 or
like
4
30
if you want,
for
depending if you want all
35.
members.
because it's not a terribly long
But it's
game.
like,
so-
and again, like
they're
once you get
PlayStation 5.
once you get past the 9S bit, like it's totally different. Like you're not replaying things
Yeah.
anymore.
Okay. I figured it was going to change once you finish his. I'm assuming he plays A2 in the third playthrough, and she's in
Yeah.
the first 2 stories like twice, so I figured hers would be totally different. But yeah, it was just like having to go meet the resistance again, and then run all the way to the desert, do something there,
But
run
you get
back.
to listen to that dope ass music.
Yeah.
It
Hell
does have a
yeah,
great
it's so
soundtrack.
good.
Soundtrack is fantastic.
But I was like,
And great gameplay. Come on,
just-
Gage.
Yeah.
Gameplay's also
I'm
fantastic.
Gameplay's pretty fun, but it's like I'd
I'm a
just rather play other
huge-
stuff.
Platinum Games fan, and I actually really enjoy Nier Automata. What I want to know is how is something like Nier different than like the way Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain does its episodes? Like, because that's how it felt to me. Was Nier Automata was just kind of like each section was an episode. of
Just
the
Nier's got a good story.
It had a start, it had an
Hey,
end. And
bam.
all of them kind of continued like a TV show, and it's similar to Phantom Pain or games with episodes like that. Like it always weirds me out how people think of it as like, oh, I beat the game, but now I have to play it again. I don't know. It's just,
Yeah,
it's,
I think
Sure.
it's like it's definitely because I've had this conversation with multiple people who I've tried to like tell like who I've tried to be
People
like,
with
hey,
good taste, I'm assuming.
I like, hey,
I feel
playthrough
you,
B.
Blessing. I
I know
feel
it's called. I know we call it playthroughs, but like it is. You're playing a successor. It is a sequel. You start off doing the same thing, but it branches off. Trust me, and then you'll never have to do the same thing again.
Right.
And like. For some reason I want to call him Guillermo del Toro. Yoko Taro. Yoko Taro is just a weirdo in that sense of like, hey, I'm gonna fake him out and make him believe it's multiple playthroughs when it's not. And like it's a little bit of the game kind of having that misinformation, but I think at the same time, like I get why they do it that way because it is a like Nier Automata is telling a story in a way that only a video game can do, right? Where you are having to be in the shoes of a different character doing the exact same shit, but you get to actually like, go off and talk to your own people or talk to the characters you want to talk to or do different side quests or whatever. But you're going through the same motions until you get to the parts of the story where you are branched off from the other characters, and then you get to see what this specific person was going through at this time, right? And then by the later playthroughs, you're doing that with different characters, but 9S and 2B were together for most of that first, or for most of the game. That though there's gonna be a lot of overlap there. It's it's a hard thing to sell to people, but yeah, like Metal Gear Solid doesn't do. At least I don't think Phantom Pain did the thing where you're repeating whole ass portions of the story. Though maybe it did. It's been such a long time.
No, only
it
if
feels
you.
like
That was all like optional stuff. There was nothing like forcing you to do that. Like you could
Gotcha.
play beginning to end, and yeah.
it did miss. It was missing chapter 3 or whatever, episode 3.
Yeah, the
which
third.
still breaks my heart
Dude, me
because
too.
I think Metal Gear Solid 5 had a great story
It was
that
fantastic. I loved
was
it.
mainly hampered by it missing that last chapter.
Dude, that game blew me away because to beat chapter 1 took me a few days. Like that's all I did. Like I would come home from work and I would just sit down and I would play Phantom Pain for way too long.
Yeah,
And I
same.
remember beating that first chapter, defeating Skullface and Sahelanthropus and like rolling credits and like, oh my god, this game was so good. And it's like episode 2, I'm like, what? And it just it was amazing. And then you get to the ending of episode 2 and it's like, here we go, episode 3, and it's like, no.
And it's so weird because all the things they set up for episode 3 are like all fan service things that like, oh yeah, I can't wait to see what they do with this specific character that we know from the original games. And it's like, nope, we didn't get that. Instead, we get like this weird pack-in cutscene thing.
But that was
unfinished
only with
version.
like you had to buy like the collector's edition to get that. So it
Yeah.
wasn't until that came online that I was able to watch. I'm like, we get to see Eli, who's clearly Liquid, get Rex. Like that's so freaking cool. There's gonna be a whole act around that, and of course Konami's like, hey, pachinko machines. So
yeah, it sucks too because like there's so many different moments in Metal Gear Solid 5 that I feel like stand out to me as iconic Metal Gear moments. Like the whole and this is like a weird one to point out, but it hit home for me, right? The whole thing of you trying to figure out what is fucking up your soldiers, and then like you have to like figure out what is the thing that are linking all these different people, and you realize that it's language because it's a virus that hinges on tongue or whatever. Like that to me was such a cool moment, and then following that up with, I think it was chapter 2, where you spoilers from Metal Gear Solid 5, I guess.
5 years, who cares?
Yeah, like there's a portion of that game where I think you're basically like murdering your own soldiers because they're either going crazy or there's something going on. There's something going wrong on on Mother Base or whatever.
Mother Base, yeah.
Yeah, and like you're basically forced to kill your soldiers, and like, and I think by the end of that, you're like your horn is sticking down, you're all bloody and shit, and it's like, bro, Kojima, you're a fucking poet. Like you're a visual poet, my guy.
Everything about that game, that's one thing I love Kojima's games. Like I love all of the stuff, all the Metal Gear stuff. Like Death Stranding was like my favorite game of last year. I adore that game to death. The one thing I feel Death Stranding was missing that Metal Gear Solid 5 nailed was like it was like the dialogue, the way he wrote the Phantom Pain, and you got that a bit in the previous games. So the Phantom Pain was like very almost more like a play, like the way he would shoot things, like
Skullface sitting in the car with Snake and doing like the whole speech, right, as they're like driving through the desert.
I love that.
Like such a cool thing. Like and that's the shit that I love from Kojima.
Yeah.
That's the shit that me and Greg obviously had the conversation on KFGD yesterday about a Metal Gear Solid movie and like what we want from it and like is going to be a challenge and all that stuff. And like that's the thing that I hope they're able to capture is those like Kojima-esque. Like, hey, we're gonna sit you down and you're just gonna listen to a conversation for 20 minutes between these two people, and they're going back and forth, and like they're going into all these things that makes them human beings, talking about the movies they like and talking about all this shit, even though they're enemies. Like, I want that kind of shit. And like it's hard. That stuff's gonna be, I think, hard to depict in a movie, but like I don't think it's impossible. I think they can maybe do it. But again, like we'll see on that. But I love that type of shit.
Yeah.
Like interesting question.
I was
just say really quick.
Yeah, go.
Interesting question about the Metal Gear Solid movie. Do you think they're gonna cast multiple actors for like the clones, or do you think they're gonna make them all Oscar Isaac?
I like Oscar Isaac. I don't know if he has the chops to play both Snake and Liquid.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be a cool idea. But I feel like Liquid is such a like. He's a personality. Like you gotta cast somebody who can be like this bigger than life, like charismatic dude. And like I don't necessarily see Oscar Isaac as that, but maybe you can pull that out of him. Maybe.
I'm still torn on the Oscar Isaac thing because I love Oscar Isaac, but ever since the Witcher series came out, I was like, it's got to be Henry Cavill. He's already kind of got the look, and he's already proved he can do that kind of voice. And I was like, oh, it's got to be him. That'd be perfect. And now they're saying Oscar Isaac, and I'm like,
Boss Logic, the guy who made the original Oscar Isaac poster, actually made a new poster with Henry Cavill as Big Boss.
Ooh. Oh, that would be good. Oh,
damn.
My God.
That'd be pretty good. Yeah, I didn't even think about Big Boss. I don't know what I want to play Big Boss. I guess Big Boss, I would want to be Oscar Isaac again. Like that's the one where I'm like, no, that makes sense because like Big Boss and Snake are pretty much the same.
They are
character.
Though, I don't know. That's something I'm torn on. That's one thing I've always kind of agreed with Kojima on is the fact that he didn't want them to be the same exact person. Like he wanted to recast and everything, and I've always kind of agreed with him on that because like I get it, they're clones, but it's also kind of weird when you have these two characters using the same face model with the same exact voice actor. Unless you're like super into Metal Gear, you're gonna play like 2 and then you're gonna play 3 and be like, I don't understand how he traveled back in time 40 years and like what the hell's going on? Because
you just put sepia tone in it, you know? Like
but
yeah, I feel like that's easier to do than Michael Cera.
God no.
Oh,
no.
That's perfect.
My crazy pick for Otacon, they would be totally out there, but nobody would expect him to do this, but he could absolutely pull it off. Rahul Kohli.
Oh, can see
Just
that.
put Rahul in everything. Eh?
I can see that.
Exactly. I would love to see his take because we know he can do that kind of goofy,
Yeah. Like
Or
dirty.
Vulcan if he gets
person.
jacked, you know. Put him in as Vulcan. That'd be awesome.
My thing is like, who's an actor that would piss their pants and you'd believe them? Like that's like the thing I think of for
Michael
Otacon.
Cera could definitely do that.
And that's like for me, that's like Michael Cera all the way. But like, I'm sure there are others that aren't coming to mind in terms of you can play this like super smart scientist dude who's endearing, but also like a total like wimp, right? And like, who is that? And also like broken, because if you play Metal Gear Solid 2, like Otacon is very much like a broken dude. And again,
You want a young
I don't
Rick
remember
Moranis.
anything about Metal Gear
or
Solid 2.
Jason Bateman.
Oh yes.
John Hamm.
He's too cool.
Have you seen Tag?
Yeah, John Hamm is too cool.
He can.
John Hamm might be like a good Liquid.
I want
yes.
Ryan Gosling to be Liquid. I think he could.
Oh
Have you, Blessing? Have you seen Drive?
no, I'm not.
Dude, I'm like pitching that movie to everybody ever since I saw it like 6 months ago, even though it came out like 5 years ago. That movie is phenomenal. It's Ryan Gosling in the lead role. Oscar Isaac is in it as well, which is ironic. But after watching that, like I've liked Ryan Gosling because like Blade Runner and stuff like that. I watched that movie and I'm like, you know what? I want him to play everything. Just if there's a role,
Is Chris Evans in this movie too?
no.
Oh, you know what? I just typed in Ryan Gosling into Google Images, and people are just comparing him to Chris Evans. That's what's going on. Which if Chris Evans was to play a character in Metal Gear Solid, who would that be?
Solid Snake. He already did it
Yeah,
in
that's
Infinity
true.
War, so
Yeah, that's a good point.
Actually,
yeah,
he
he
could
more
do
of a
Big
solid,
Boss.
Solid Snake kind of dude.
he could do Big Boss.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
grow a
it'd be pretty
beard.
badass actually.
Oh my god.
I would definitely watch a Chris Evans Big Boss. Although, like, I feel like Big Boss also has to have like this like gruffiness to him. That's like the one thing that kind of makes me nervous. But like Chris Evans, he's already proven that he can play like a character from the 1940s.
True. And if you watch some like Snowpiercer, he's already kind of proven that he can be a bit more, not good, I guess.
Not
He's
Captain America.
A bit more visceral in that movie, so
Let's just use Kurt Russell and use that some of the MCU, de-aging stuff. That'll work perfectly,
Now, hear me out.
Dude, Kurt Russell is Revolver Ocelot.
Robert Downey Jr. as Liquid.
Oh, yes.
He's a little old, I feel like.
De-aging process, mate. It's fine. Just steal some of that Marvel tech.
In
That'd
the
be
new
interesting.
Big Boss poster, he has Christian Bale as Liquid.
Otacon is just Mark Ruffalo. Let's just make them all the Avengers.
Let's just make them all the Avengers. Yeah,
Let's do it.
Mark Ruffalo would make it great.
Scarlett Johansson.
It worked once. Let's do it again.
I was thinking about Scarlett Johansson from Meryl. Like, I feel like that
Ooh.
fits.
She
That's
could be a good
pick,
Meryl.
yeah.
She could probably pull that off. Everybody like on the internet wants to be Emma Stone, and every time I see, I love Emma Stone, but every time I see that, I'm like, no, she's not Meryl.
Really? Oh man,
She's just not Meryl. She's too.
I can see it.
I don't know. Something about her face. I know that's gonna sound really wrong.
Gage!
Nothing bad about it. It's just the
Not
fact
part of this. Not part of this.
she
Are
doesn't
you
look.
trashing him, Mr. Yum out here?
She
man?
doesn't look mean enough. I feel like Meryl's got to look a little bit mean. I feel like if I saw Emma Stone trying to kick my ass, I'd be like, okay,
I feel like Emma Stone should kick your ass after that.
probably.
Yeah.
Jonah Hill is DARPA chief.
Oh,
It's gotta be Steve Harvey.
It does. But I feel like Steve Harvey wouldn't memorize any of the lines. Like, I feel like Steve Harvey would be phoning it in. He wouldn't even realize he's in Metal Gear Solid. He would think that it's like some kind of documentary that he's in.
Oh my god,
He
probably.
thinks he's in the Family Feud.
Yeah.
original Val Johnson. Yeah,
I forget how we got
gotta
on
get
Metal
some
Gear Solid.
alcohol.
Oh yeah, we were talking about Nier. That's what it was.
Near, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so
It was my fault.
It's like, how do we get there from here? But okay, yeah, makes sense.
It was my fault because I was trying to relate like the idea of episodes, and Metal Gear Phantom Pain was the first thing that popped into my head.
That's fair.
It was
So-
a beautiful accident. That's what I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely.
I've got.
So go ahead.
Go on, Phil. No,
I was just
go,
gonna say
go.
that I feel like we're going too old for Meryl because she's supposed to be like the young, kind of like new recruit.
So now you're calling Scarlett Johansson old, huh? I see.
Damn.
I say one thing about Emma Stone.
Sure.
I'm a villain, but you can. Okay, no, I'm kidding.
Damn.
Um,
Zendaya.
but you know the person.
Ooh.
Oh, that would be dope.
That's it. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I was gonna say the actress that they just cast for Kate Bishop would be interesting.
Oh,
Haley Stein.
Haley Steinfeld.
Yeah.
she could pull it off.
But actually, I like Zendaya a lot better. That's awesome.
What about Billie Eilish?
I was waiting for that,
God
Robin.
dang it, Robin. God,
I've never played Metal Gear. I'm sorry.
you're gonna talk shit because I haven't finished Nier, but you've never played Metal Gear. God damn it.
No.
Robin, you gotta play Metal Gear.
At
If you're a
least-
Nier fan, I
At
feel like
least
you
one
like
of those
Metal Gear.
games is very accessible at the moment. The other one's not that accessible.
Yeah.
Remember, one of the
That's
collections
true.
on PlayStation 3. The other one you can play anywhere you want. So
I'll wait
I've
for the
been trying to get
Breakpoint
Barrett to
remake.
play Metal Gear Solid, and that was like that was the hurdle I was thinking. I was like, how
Wait,
do I
is-
get?
Barrett never played Metal Gear?
He's only played Metal Gear Survive.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
That
no,
sounds
it's,
about right.
it's very
You have to
painful.
do that
Even
by
I know
game,
that's a
Jimmy.
bad one.
It's
not-
like,
I
I'm
love
like,
that series though.
I'm trying
I'm
to
not
pitch.
gonna.
I'm trying to pitch like October Part 2, where it's me and Barrett playing Metal Gear Solid somehow.
Metal Gear March, dude.
Yes.
Or Metal Gear September. Wow, that was hard to say. I don't know why.
That's the exact same thing I said to Tim. I was like, Metal Gear September.
Yeah.
We'll figure it. I want him to play like the whole series because I think Barrett would either hate it or love it. Like you never know with Barrett what his like
Mhm.
what his opinion is going to be, but I feel like it's worth him playing.
That'd be
I just
fantastic.
feel like with his love for Assassin's Creed and the Animus stuff and all that, like, I mean, there's some of that weird kind of like technology stuff, and of course it's a stealth game. Like, I feel like there's some connections there that he might get into, like, you know, with the nanomachines and the genome soldiers and that sort of stuff.
That's possible, but it could also be the exact opposite because like I love Metal Gear, but I've always hated the Animus stuff in Assassin's Creed. That always took me out of it because I remember like the first game, it was kind of promoted as like you're an assassin. Like all the trailers, you're just going through, you're stabbing Templars and stuff like that. Like so cool. And then you play it and you spend like half of the first act of the game walking around a lab. And I'm like, what the hell am I playing? This isn't what I signed up for. And they just kept doing that. Like
Otacon
oh, Assassin's
Simulator,
Creed
buddy.
3, this game is so cool. Then it's like, cool. If you make a decision at the end of the game that you either kill the person you love or the world ends. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I just want
Video
to kill
games,
some
man.
redcoats, dude. Jeez.
Video games.
Video games, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance Barrett might like it though, just because like, I mean, he likes My Hero Academia, and I feel like that must translate somewhat to Metal Gear Solid. Who knows? I feel
Why
like
not?
if you like video games, if you like anime, maybe you'll like Metal Gear Solid.
I feel like you're right. He does seem to love really deep lore in movies and games. I feel like it'd be right up his alley.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I want to make it happen, but I got to figure out a good way to get him to play Metal Gear Solid, and I can't find like I have a actually no, I don't have it anymore. I had Kevin's PS3, but I don't know if it's backwards compatible.
Well,
I'll find a way.
Kevin will figure it out.
you
You
should
know
be, with a
Kevin.
PS3, you're good because they're all digital. So you can literally buy
Oh, are they?
Metal Gear Solid on PS1 and then
The collection.
Huh?
like if you buy this brand new, it's got literally everything except for 5. It's got 1, 2, 3, and 4, and Peace Walker,
Damn.
and
Don't forget Metal Gear and Metal Gear
yeah,
2.
the original Metal Gear.
It doesn't
Metal
have
Gear 2.
acid though.
It does
True.
not have acid or
That's-
acid 2.
No.
Acid is those are the only canon games that aren't included.
When did we start
might
talking
buy it.
about drugs now?
We've been dropping tabs since
What
the
the fuck are you
beginning,
guys
Kumail.
saying? I've got an idea though. Here's how you get him to play it. Put it on the thermometer for January.
That's
Oh,
Put it like
kinda
really
bitch.
low as well. Yeah.
Make it $100. He's gonna play Metal
we
Gear.
can write this off as a business call now.
Yeah, make it a bit. Make us buying the full Metal Gear series a business
Yeah.
expense.
Yeah.
Have us buy a PS1.
Exactly.
So
Figure out how to stream it.
to get us back on track a little bit,
Back on
since
track.
this
What are you
is
talking
supposed to be
about?
about Blessing and not necessarily about
It is
Metal
a track.
Gear. which we could probably go for hours on.
Wait, this isn't a Metal Gear podcast? I thought like
What?
I've considered it. I've considered
the email I
starting
had,
one,
the email I answered had Snake as an image.
but
I,
In it.
I understand that all of us really like Metal Gear, but we've got to move on.
Except for Robin.
it's good. God damn it, Phil. I'm so jealous.
So Matt from the community questions asks, "What's your favorite candy bar?"
Oh, this
I
starts
think people would expect me to say Butterfinger, but I'm not. You know, me and Butterfinger have a great relationship. They help me game better, but they're not my favorite candy bar. I mean, I know it's basic, but I really like a good Hershey's milk chocolate candy bar. Also like the cookies and cream Hershey's. Oh my god.
I got on Amazon.
Oh,
and I bought the deluxe boxes that have like 18 jumbo bars each for like 12
man,
bucks each, dude.
I might do the same thing.
So
you might have
cheap.
sent it to me.
I've gone through so many of these things and it's not
They're
good.
so good. They're so good. I'll also throw in Twix. I think Twix is magnificent.
Twix are fantastic.
Yeah, I love it. I love a good Twix.
The right answer was Snickers. That was the right answer.
No,
guys. Come
I
on.
thought about Snickers.
agree.
But no.
How do we kick him out the call?
Snickers is like a good like mid-tier candy bar.
If you
to
would
me.
have asked me like a couple months ago, I would have said Snickers, but I
Christ.
ate when I was working at Best Buy, those were like my breakfast. I would go to work every morning and it would be like a Snickers bar before we opened. And it got to the point
you don't like them.
it got to the point where if I ate a Snickers, I'm like, this is the most disgusting piece of trash I've ever had. I like them now because it's been a long
Whoa,
time.
He's talking mad shit.
But it's still it's to the point where it's like even when I have one now, I'm like not as good as they used to be because I'm so sick of them.
It's all right. I think I just had too many Snickers as a kid. Like,
Yeah,
it was the go-to for Halloween bags. It was the go-to for
so good.
you win the class contest. I don't know. Like at every turn there was a Snickers. If I was getting handed a candy bar as a kid, it was going to be a Snickers for some reason. And as an adult, there's nothing special about it. But Twix though,
I grew up
oh
in
my
the wrong
god.
place, evidently.
Twix are fantastic.
I'd kill for a Snickers
So,
right
okay,
now.
the real question is a hot dog a sandwich?
Oh, not again.
fuck's sake.
I've listened to early Game Over Greggy show. I refuse.
Okay.
I refuse to engage. The answer is yes.
Okay,
Maybe.
so I'm gonna derail this again with another community question and say Cody Wilson at my swagga 91. I just need to know what Blessing's favorite Sonic 06 cutscene is.
I refuse to play that game or acknowledge its existence. Sonic 06 doesn't exist to me.
Dang.
Sorry, Cody.
Gage, this is where you just edit out that bit and say we forgot to ask him.
I'm leaving that in because I agree with
We don't
Blessing.
want to disappoint anybody.
It goes Sonic Heroes, and then right after that game was like Shadow the Hedgehog, and then Sonic Unleashed. There was no other game in between.
Sonic
the release
06,
cycle.
that was the one that was like good for like 10 minutes and then you played it 5 frames a second, right? Like after that. I remember playing a demo for it. Like, this game is awesome. And then it came out and everybody's like, no, it's not awesome.
I've only seen like YouTube trailers, and like it looks cool. Like it looks like it was going for all the right things, but in its execution, just like fucked literally everything up, which is unfortunate.
I mean, honestly, that's
Because
how I
like
feel.
you're telling me you're putting out like this graphically HD Sonic the Hedgehog game with a human and all these different Sonic the Hedgehog characters, and we're introducing a character named Silver the Hedgehog. Oh, let's fucking go! And then you
Yeah.
play it, and it's like, oh, this is
Well,
broken. This is
I'm-
bad.
Let's not.
I'm just going to put it out there and just say that Sonic was never good, so.
Oh wow.
There's more good Sonic games on
How do we
Dreams than there
kick
are released
GF2
by
cool.
Sega, which is really baffling.
Sonic 2 is a masterpiece.
Hell yeah.
Honestly,
Now, while
I-
we're on
What you've got to
community
understand,
questions.
Blessing, is like Gage has got really bad opinions on games, full stop. So just
Dude,
ignore him.
I grew
Just
up
ignore him.
playing, like, it was always at my grandparents' house on this side, it was always Sega Genesis. So it was Streets of Rage, Sonic the Hedgehog, the god-awful Bubsy games. And then on this side, it was Super Nintendo. So I was playing Super Mario All-Stars all the time. So going from
about
Super Mario
Crocodile?
All-Stars, which was, like, so perfect, and going to play Sonic, and I'm like, it's fine, but it's like...
How dare you? How dare you?
At some point, we're gonna have to do a coup d'etat and just get him the fuck out of this group. Honestly,
No joke. I play Green Hill Zone probably 2 or 3 times a year, and that's it. Like, I'll play Green Hill Zone, and then I'll get to, like, the next part, and I'll maybe play a level, and I'm like, I'm good. I heard the music.
Great soundtrack, though.
I really
Great
dude,
soundtrack.
Oh my
fantastic.
god.
But
Fantastic soundtrack.
you gotta go fast.
But like, it never
Go
works
fast in Mario.
because the system was not powerful enough, so they had to zoom the screen in so much that you're going fast and you can't see what's in front of you. Unless you play it religiously, you don't know what the hell you're doing. So it's like, I've got all these rings, I jump off of something, I hit something, I lose all the rings. I'm like, this isn't fun.
This sounds like Demon Souls, to be honest with you.
Well, except
I'm
Demon
getting
Souls is
flashbacks now.
good. I'm kidding. I'm just talking mad shit right
right.
now for literally no
He's
reason.
still going, Robin.
Sorry, Ben, did you say you had a community question as well?
I was gonna say, yeah. While we're on the topic of community questions, this one comes from Ben at Please Be Excited for Bless. It's a multi-part question about Jingle All the Way. So the first question is: its Metascore of 34 criminally underrated. Second is Brewster, an underrated character, and the third part is just who's your MVP of Jingle All the Way?
Oh, okay. So yes, it is underrated. Booster is an underrated character, and the MVP of Jingle All the Way.
Is it Sinbad?
I was gonna say I really like Sinbad. You know, has a presence in all the movies he's in. The scene that sticks out to me, if I'm being honest, I don't think I've seen Jingle All the Way since I was a kid. But the scene I remember, we had the VHS tape, and so I would like rewind it and play it over and over again because it was like one of the only movies I owned. And I remember a scene specifically, and this scene might be offensive in 2020, and I don't remember. As a kid, I thought it was glorious, but there was like a fight scene with him and a bunch of little people, and like
yeah, there's a lot wrong with that movie now if you go back and watch it.
Yeah, I know. I imagine so. Like, because even as I say it out loud, I'm like, none of this sounds okay. But I remember as a kid replaying that scene a billion times and being like, this is the greatest scene of all films.
That's probably why it's got such a low rating nowadays.
Probably.
Well, Sinbad is actually a terrorist in that movie. He does blow up the police with a bomb. It's horrible.
Yeah,
but the rest of the movie is the rest of the movie is fantastic.
What's the name of the action figure? Like in that movie, like
Turbo
Man.
Turbo Man, yeah. Turbo Man is the MVP.
Hell yeah! When are we getting a Turbo Man game?
Oh my god! It came out and failed. It was called Anthem.
Ooh.
Damn.
Oh.
Maybe that's what Collision's working on over the Xbox.
Things will get fixed.
Don't worry, Casey Hudson will fix Anthem.
Oh man.
Too soon.
While we're on Ben community questions, why don't you ask your other question there, Ben?
Oh yes, so this is something that I ask everyone on the show, Bless. So obviously Greg Miller, like we talked about previously, he's so busy. He's everywhere. He's doing everything. So the question is have you seen any evidence since working for Kind of Funny that might suggest that he's either some form of android, a clone, or Nick's one was that he might be possibly a demon. So have you got any sort of evidence to maybe potentially back any of those theories up, or have you got a theory of your own?
I mean, have you seen the theories about Dave Chappelle and like how he got replaced at a certain point? Because like if you look at him now versus if you look at him like 10 years ago, it's like a completely different person.
I have not seen this.
Same exact thing is going on with Greg Miller. Like you look at him now and he has the beard and like he talks a certain way and he acts a certain way. But if you look at Greg Miller from 2013, completely different person. Nobody goes through that much change in 7 years, no matter how much stress you go through. And so I'm gonna say yes, he is a clone or a replacement or an imposter. I don't necessarily believe in the idea of perfect human cloning in 2020. You know, I think that could come down a few years down the line. And so I'm gonna go with the idea of it's an imposter that looks exactly like him. That's
Listen, when you can get a whiteboard at the background just to start, tracking all these changes and stuff.
Maybe
like
that's what
that,
I need.
so you can-
Because like
Yeah,
I had Kevin
conspiracy.
buy me like wall shelves so I can put behind me and like I can put stuff on them. But I might just get a whiteboard instead so I can just stand up, go back, and start drawing the fucking timeline.
like a fucking madman.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
look like that one scene from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I love it. Look alike. That's a great one. I'll have to add that to the list.
Have we got more community questions? Because I've got a few as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Mark Freeman at the Indie Boy 1, awesome, kind of funny best friend, asks, what is the one place in San Francisco to eat that you have not been to because of the pandemic, and why is it Underdogs?
I can't remember if I've had Underdogs or not. I think I've had Underdogs. but I don't know if I would have returned to Underdogs. Like I can't remember if I even liked it. Actually no. I remember now. I remember it very vividly. It was my first Kind of Funny live. I went to Underdogs, and it was pretty good. I have a note in my phone that is a list of places I want to go to in SF.
That's awesome. That's so awesome.
Burma Superstar, I think, is like a Indian restaurant that's supposed to be really good. There's a place called the Game Parlor, and I don't remember anything about it. I forgot who told me about it, but somebody told me that I should go to this place called the Game Parlor, and so I have that written down. And then a place called Cracked and Battered, which is apparently a chicken and waffle spot that I should go to. And so these are places that I haven't been to any of these places. These are just based off of people's recommendations of places to go to in SF. And so I'm just gonna say those.
All right. Underneath that, DJ Kento says you spelled Ike's sandwiches wrong. So have you tried Ike's sandwiches?
I've had Ike's sandwiches a few times. Yes, I usually get them. I used to get them delivered when we were in the office. I don't think they even deliver to where I'm at right now. They're okay. They're all right. You know, like they're not the best sandwich I've ever had, but they're fine, and they come with this caramel green apple sucker that I really like. And so shout out to them for that.
Awesome. I was reluctant to bring this one up because it was something that I should have brought up during the Metal Gear movie conversation. But Emmett Watkins Jr. At
The homie.
EJSPONGE61 asks, since apparently Travis Scott is making a new Metal Gear, what other rapper and game franchise combo would you want to see?
Kanye West BioShock. I want Kanye West to not even to direct the BioShock. I want him to be the villain in the BioShock game. I want a BioShock Infinite like game where, or just regular BioShock like game where you are entering an environment that is based off of Kanye West's a series of albums and dreams and aspirations, whatever it may be. The whole idea of it is it's going to be you know how like in BioShock 1, right? Like the whole thing was, oh, it's Andrew Ryan, but like it's based off of Ayn Rand and based off of the idea of like libertarianism and you know, the sweat off my brow, all that stuff, right? It's gonna be that, but it's with Kanye Westisms, and it's gonna be based off of both My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and Yeezus, both those albums. All right, so like Kanye as a personality in this world, as a villain in this world, is going to be is going to be an Ayn Rand like or Andrew Ryan like figure, but he's going to be speaking like the philosophies of Yeezus, where it is, hey, like like new slaves, like bound to. I'm just naming songs from that album, but it's basically him talking about commercialism and how as human beings we're slaves to commercialism, all this stuff, right? That's what it's going to be in philosophy. In aesthetic, it is going to be in My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Instead of Little Sisters, you're gonna get the Phoenix beings from the My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy music video. That is like an hour-long movie kind of thing. Does anybody right now?
Yes.
No, it's all going right over my head.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think this is utterly, I think this is utterly amazing. The thing that scares me though is how fast this came out of your mouth.
You've given this some thought, dude.
I've thought about this for a long time. The Little Sisters will be the Phoenixes from My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. The Big Brothers are gonna be Big's brother. If you get that reference, then boom, you know you're the homie. If you don't, I understand. It sounds ridiculous. Big Brothers are Jay-Z. And yeah, what am I missing? In a BioShock game, there's always a tower. There's always a city, and so the tower. I didn't think this far.
So the one
There's
thing
gonna be something about Jesus though.
The one thing I'm curious about is like the sound design. Are we gonna get like the rapper sound effects for guns and stuff?
For like, I mean, the sound the soundtrack is going to be like it's going to be like a lot of choirs and a lot of like sampled up pitched like chorus sounds.
It's all gonna be like stolen music, but then put to a rap beat so they can make it their own, right?
Yeah, but not stolen though. Like, you know, you get permission.
Sampled,
you pay for the samples. But then like in terms of I didn't even think about weapons in the game because Kanye is such a non-violent rapper. But like it could be like
all your weapons.
Ooh, see, now you're spitting. Yeah, the words are your weapons. And so like just instead of vigors, instead of like the tonics or whatever, you have
Like
rhyme books
bars. You just
and
inject
you
yourself
spit
with
bars.
bars.
Yeah, you have different elements for different bars.
Oh
shit.
man.
I was just thinking, how about Snoop Dogg and Overcooked, but just put over smoked, and he's just rolling joints for people and having them out.
Dude. Wow. Him and Martha Stewart should team up and do that. Be great.
I can see
Be
that.
bumping into everything.
But I mean, isn't the tower just Tower Records? And wouldn't that
Ooh,
just be
that's
the
good.
Tower?
That's good. That's actually very good. Yeah, that could be it. It could be Def Jam.
I did not think we'd get here when we first started this podcast, but I'm glad we did.
Oh my god. The best.
I thought this would be a more cohesive episode after Nick's episode, but no,
Yeah.
this is more off the rails than that, and I love it.
You're welcome.
This is fantastic.
You're absolutely welcome.
Oh my god.
Our next community question comes from Alexander Cozy Bear Cozina.
And he creates some really cool stuff as well. I can't remember
Yeah.
what was that platform Kind of Funny had, where you were creating stuff with this company. Shit, I forgot the name. But yeah, Alex Kazina, if you don't know him, check out his stuff because he actually creates
He's
some
awesome.
great stuff as well. Yeah.
But yeah, at Alex Cozina asks, "What's your favorite way of consuming potatoes?"
I like breakfast
Ooh.
potatoes, like chopped up and fried. That's what I've been doing a lot recently. I for some reason like I've become very addicted to making and eating breakfast potatoes within the last like couple months. And I think it's been spurred by my wantingness to learn how to cook, and that was the easiest thing for me to learn. And so once I learned how to like just cut up and fry breakfast potatoes, it was over. I've been eating that and like eggs, and it's been perfect. Mashed potatoes are also cool though, and fries. I put fries above mashed potatoes. So breakfast
fries.
potatoes are number one.
What about the McDonald's hash brown?
That's above mashed potatoes also.
Okay.
Yeah,
I like where you
I
stand
like the
on
hash
that.
brown a lot.
All right, so we're down to the last few community questions that I have.
Awesome.
From Gabe Fast at _ wannabe critic on Twitter asks, "How do you stay humble?"
I don't. No, I'm kidding. I
You hide it very well then, Beth.
thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know. I think I like. It's a good question. I think it's kind of easy, honestly. Like especially when you look around in the industry of how many people are super talented and how many people are doing great work. If anything, I probably need to be like. If anything, I probably need to believe in myself more when it comes to that stuff. Because like when I listen to podcasts or I watch YouTube videos, I watch like I've been hooked on watching Tim Rogers stuff recently. And like when I watch a Tim Rogers video, the main thing that goes to my mind is like, how did I not think of that? Why can't I do this? Like, how is he so genius and I'm just here talking about Uncharted or whatever? Like, how is he doing what he's doing? And like that kind of all comes back to me having that comes back to me always knowing that I can always do better, and I can and knowing where I want to be and knowing that I'm not there yet. I think that comes into play a lot of the time. But yeah, no, I think that's my answer. Yeah, that's my answer. Boom. That's how I stay humble.
Mic drop.
Good answer.
Mic drop.
And then going back to Caesar Towers, similar question: How do you stay motivated, especially during the pandemic?
That's a good one.
I mean, I this kind of ties into the last question, right? Like, it is me knowing that I can always do better, and knowing where I want to be, right? And knowing where I want to go and having goals. Like, I think that's a big thing for me. Like, I have like a secret notes notepad in my phone where like I write down my goals, like my content goals, and I try to like think of ways I can get there. Like, I know one day I don't know how I want to win a game award, right? And like that's like a undefined, like undated goal, but like I want to do that at some point. I want to I want to be on one day, get on Ven's Dare package, which is a very specific goal. I don't know if you guys have heard or watched Ven, but it's basically like a G4, but like way more lower key. But like I watch them on Samsung TV Plus, and they have a show called Dare Package, which is basically a game show where they get different streamers to come on and do shit. But like I have that written down in my goals, right? I have like a bunch of different goals. I want to get on Giant Bomb's E3 couch at some point, right? Like that type of shit, right? And having things to work to and having things that I want to accomplish kind of helps me be like, all right, how do I get there? And what are the things I need to do in order to take that next step towards getting there? And so those are the things that can be motivated.
Phil, can I just interject there? Because one of my questions actually related to this topic is, Blessing, what were your goals for this year? Have you achieved them? And what are your goals in the immediate future for next year?
This is an interesting one because my goal for like last year, before I got hired for Kind of Funny, was to, get hired for a bigger outlet, or like, guest more on different bigger outlets. And so like it was weird coming down to SF and getting hired at Kind of Funny and settling in for those first few months because I was in the mode of trying to figure out, all right, what are my goals for this year? Like what am I striving for now? Like what is the next step for me? Because I spent so long trying to get here. And like there's another one of those things where like COVID comes into play and throws a wrench and everything, to where now with work from home, it is so hard to even theorize like what I want to do now, because kind of what I want to do now is get to the point where like I can get back to work at the office, and like you know in so many ways I feel like I and so many other people, right, feel hampered by everything that's going on in the world, and not being able to operate the way that any of us are used to. That said, right, like I had like very small goals for myself. Like one of my goals, and I posted this on Twitter, was to get to 30,000 Twitter followers. And it's like, that seems like a very minor thing, right? Especially like when you look at the followerships of other people, and it's like, cool. Like, I think Tim just got to 100,000, or Nick has like, I want to say like 70, 80,000 or whatever. But for me, knowing where I'm at in my career, and knowing the small growth that's taking place now with me, like over the course of this year, after having the jump to Kind of Funny, right? Like 30,000 was a thing where I was like, all right, this seems like for where I want to be set up for in 2021, 30,000 seems like a good place to be. And I was able to get that. Along with that, right? Like I wanted to get to a place where I feel good about the content that I'm on, right? Like I feel good about where PS Love You is at in terms of the flow of that show and the type of conversations we're having. And same thing for KFGD, same thing for First Impressions and all the shows that I'm on. And like I feel to varying degrees, like I feel pretty good about that. Like I feel pretty good about where PS Love You's at. I feel pretty good about where I was gonna say Gamescast, but I don't think about Gamescast as much because Tim does. KFGD is at. Like I feel good about that stuff. I think outside of that, I have personal goals of things I want to do better, like in the moment, like being on podcasts and being on shows, right? Like I want to be able to do a better job of like expressing myself, do a better job of laying out like a specific point, right? When I feel a certain way about a certain game, right? Like I want to be good at explaining myself and giving those opinions. And I think I'm good or whatever, but I want to be better, right? I always see ways in which I could be better about that stuff. And so I have those goals also. Oh, that answers your question. I feel like I rambled a bit, but
yeah, just a comment before the next community question is just that the first impressions idea, and the fact that you and Barrett do these first impressions now, I love the idea, because back in the day when Kind of Funny first started up, we used to have these videos with Colin and Greg playing games and stuff like that, and that's actually how I got introduced to games like Danganronpa, which I previously would have never even thought to touch. But first impressions is a great idea, and just keep it up.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Yeah, where First Impressions started and where it is now is fantastic. I love what you guys have been doing with it. I love that you took the initiative to kind of make it its own thing and really turn it into something special.
Appreciate that. Hit up Tim, be like, hey, just don't cancel the show, please.
Man, when I asked him about canceling shows on the first episode, he had some bad things to say about First Impressions. Let me tell you, it's not looking good, Bless. I'm sorry.
Spoilers.
Hey, man.
I saw. It's okay. Simply Sassy will pick it up, and you can join us.
Hey, if Tim cancels First Impressions, it's all yours. You can do second impressions, please. Actually, that'd be hilarious.
Oh man. I love being like the
Oh,
backup
wow.
channel. All we do is just steal the content you guys don't want anymore.
Honestly, I think it'd be hilarious if you guys did second impressions.
We should do second impressions, but it's doing first impressions of first impressions. So it's just watching your guys'
That'd be good.
videos and just
You
talking
guys are
about
streaming our videos.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Just write that down. We need to do that.
Yeah.
That'll go on the list with the tons of other ideas we've had and we've never executed.
I really wanted to ask you on your secret list if either doing something with Giant Bomb or getting hired by Giant Bomb was on your list, but then you said it, and I was like, darn it.
Oh yeah, I would love
because-
to do something with Giant Bomb. I still like I'd love to get on the Giant Bomb cast someday. I did GameSpot After Dark last year, and it was like during my up and comers week, and I remember going into the room where they record the GameSpot After Dark, and it was the same room where they did Giant Bombcast, and I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this. Cool, I get to record the Giant Bombcast room, which for me meant so much to me, but like it felt so crazy at the time. But yeah, if Greg keeps up this trophy business, I might be looking to get hired by a Giant Bomb, and so
And he's at Rooster Teeth, you're at Giant Bomb.
yeah.
I mean, they did just lose two very big people over in the New York office,
Oh yeah.
Casey Hudson?
Dan Reichert and Abby Russell. Come on,
Oh,
Giant
damn.
Bomb, you guys.
Yeah. And so I mean, it sounds like they needed somebody in New York, and so my number, Jeff Gertzman. He doesn't know my number. You can know my you have my emails in my bio, Jeff Gertzman.
We'll put it up in big numbers on the screen here. There we go.
Yeah. Guarantee you he's gonna watch this.
I always appreciate when you bring up Giant Bomb because I've been following Jeff Gershman and his career since he was at GameSpot, and this goes along with my appreciation for Greg Kasavin as well. Both of those guys are my game reviewing childhood. Like I every time I think about GameSpot, I think of Greg Kasavin's review of Devil May Cry 3 back in the day on GameSpot. So yeah, those two guys are a big part of my life. So I've definitely been following Giant Bomb. So I always appreciate when they get referenced, mostly by you.
Yeah.
But,
Giant Bomb, I started listening to Giant Bomb around the same time I started listening to Beyond back in the day. And so both of them, I feel in equal parts I've followed over the years. And yeah, Giant Beastcast, I actually haven't listened to many podcasts this year just because I don't have a commute anymore, which kind of sucks, and I don't have a job where I'm able to listen to podcasts during it because I'm literally hosting, which sucks. And so I haven't gotten to listen to it as much this year. But when I saw that, when I saw Dan was leaving, I was like, damn. And then I saw Abby was leaving, I was like, damn, who's left at East? Who's there anymore?
Yeah.
But I think it's Vin.
Yep. Alex Navarro.
Alex, yes, and then dude from CNET. Name I can't remember.
I was just gonna say the dude from CNET.
Dude from CNET.
Dude from CNET.
It's Jeff.
Who likes pinball? Jeff.
Other Jeff.
Backlar,
That's right.
thank you.
Yep, you got it.
I don't know why I know him as dude from CNET. Jeff Backlar.
That's all.
so great.
That's all that flashed in my mind as well was CNET. It's like, no,
Yeah,
what's his name?
CNET.
What was it like? What was it like being on IGN, Bless? That must have been almost like a childhood sort of dream for you, really.
Oh yeah, it was wild. The first time I was on IGN this year was the Black History Month stream, and that was super wild because I didn't realize I was hosting it until until I got there, and they're like, oh yeah, so you're gonna be asking these folks questions, they're gonna be interviewing, and I was like, wait, I thought I was being interviewed. I'm the one hosting it. And so that was a fun experience because I
didn't know we could do that. We should have done that here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I
You know what, Blessing?
but that was a really fun experience, getting to go there in person and do all that stuff and get to experience what that's like from the inside. But then yeah, also being on Beyond and different shows and Review Crew has been a really cool experience overall. It is that dream come true sort of thing. In full circle in terms of Beyond, getting to be on that show that kicked off my podcast listening career.
Very cool.
I just say as well, it's been huge, especially this year. I think I don't know if any other sort of company sort of does it where the way that you do it, obviously bringing people on, voices on from all parts of just life, really. Especially having people on, like you talked about for the Black History Month, and obviously with Acer on recently, and even like say coming on shows like this, I don't know if there's anyone that's as involved as Kind of Funny is in their community, and it's so awesome. It's great. So I just wanted to say thanks for that.
Yeah, I definitely that's something that I think we want to continue doing, because I think, like, for me personally, I think it's important to do it, but then also do it right. And I know, like, for a lot of folks, it's difficult because, like, a lot of gaming outlets are all male or all white folks, or don't have necessarily the lens to look through when it comes to how do we bring on different voices in a way that feels authentic, and in a way that doesn't feel like we are either using people or bringing people on just for the sake of covering our asses for this week because there are protests going on or whatever it may be. And so, like, for KF, right, like, that's one of the things that I hope we're able to do consistently and well, is that, like, we are bringing people on to guests, but not just for a like not just for like a random one-off, like, hey, we need somebody to, like, because there's controversy, because there's like a thing we need to do, right, or we need to fulfill a quota. Like, I want to be able to do it while I want us to be able to do it with the purpose of elevating different voices, and, like, creating a space for, like, more folks that are of different backgrounds, and more folks that are diverse, right, to be able to have input and have a voice and get a spotlight on them. And so I appreciate that you're able to see that, and I hope that we're able to continue that.
Yeah,
That's been awesome.
you've had some fantastic people on, and it's like always very random. Like, it seems like really last minute. You have people like Emma Kidwell, for example, who is not that known, but she's like a game developer, for example, and it's just nice to kind of get to know different sort of people. So yeah, cool. Another community question, or
so we have one more legitimate community question, but I kind of want to save it for the last question of the day.
okay, cool.
Then we have at some other Josh that asks, and I'm doing this just to he let his voice be heard. He asks, Blessing, what are you hiding? So
I know a lot of people want to know.
Move on.
I know a lot of people want to know. I'm playing Shadow of the Colossus 2.
Ooh. Shadows of the Colossus.
Developed by Bluepoint.
Nice.
That's right. They had two games developing concurrently to one another. It was Demon's Souls and Shadow of the Colossus 2, and I am playing Shadow of the Colossus 2. You'll hear my review very soon.
Are we sure that's not just Pray to the Gods or whatever? Pray.
Shit. Damn it, you're right. It did say that towards the beginning when I booted up the game. Damn it.
Poor Philip. Bess, I've got a question which relates to sort of the streaming that's going on with Kind of Funny at the moment. It seems like the Kind of Funny vids channel is being used more and more for, like, just various ad hoc streams and whatnot. Like, at the moment you've got Fortnite, and you're kind of doing that more often, which is really good. My question is, when are we going to get you on there just making some beats and stuff like that? Because I know you're into your music, and
yeah,
I think you remember saying you were like playing with it, but when are we going to get one on Kind of Funny vids channel?
I feel like I'm not good enough at making beats to, like, be doing that on the main Kind of Funny vids channel. Like, I feel like that's, like, very much like my own personal channel kind of thing, because that is a very, like, hobbyish, like, I am doing this just fucking around, and, like, if my beats suck, they suck. But, like, it's my channel, so whatever. But, like, I love doing the ad hoc streams for Kind of Funny, because it's very much like, half the time I don't even realize we're streaming. Like, I'll jump into the Discord and be like, oh, folks are hanging out, and I'll get in there, and I'm like, wait, are we streaming? And everybody's like, yeah, we're streaming. And I'm like, oh, cool, okay, whatever. It's a fun thing for us to do as a group. And so, yeah, that's the thing that I hope we continue doing. But I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna be doing the beats on the Kind of Funny channel, but I do want to do more stuff along the lines of, like, me and Barrett play Metal Gear Solid, or, like, like, random, like, one-off, like, or not even one-off, right? Like, because it could be me and Barrett could do, like, a, hey, let's just do Donktober with Metal Gear Solid kind of thing. And I want to do more stuff like that, because that stuff's always fun to do.
And my last question is, what is the best tea? And are you still having 4 sugar cubes in your tea?
I am not still having 4 sugar cubes in my tea. In fact, I've switched over to honey. I switched over to honey. Now I'm having about 10 spoons of honey in there, which is great. No, I'm joking. But yeah, best tea. It's a good question. I do like some
Just let it sit there.
English breakfast tea. I guess like it's like a good thing to wake up to because tea is usually a morning thing for me, and so I'll go with that. Or if I'm feeling like if I want to get crazy, I'll go with like passion fruit tea.
If you're feeling fruity.
If I'm feeling
There we go,
fruity,
that's my one pun. That's one
Yeah.
pun.
There you go.
No, it's
I'll go
not.
with some
Don't
passion
lie.
one per
passion
episode.
tea. Maybe
Very
chai
proud of
tea
you,
depending
Kamal.
on the day.
Cheers to that, Bless.
So a question I have kind of regarding content is, will we ever see all of you guys play Ultimate Chicken Horse?
Ooh.
I think we've already done that, right?
Well, there was an Ultimate Chicken Horse party mode back when that show was alive.
Before it got killed by Tim.
But
I
I
recently-
don't remember who was on it, though. I feel like it was only, like... I should know this, because I literally saw it on YouTube, like, 4 days
I
ago.
recently played that game, but now that I think about it, I think it might have been at Jared Petty's. It was definitely at Jared Petty's birthday party. Like
That
back in
sounds
like
awesome.
February. Yeah, no, that's a good question. That'd be like a fun party mode kind of
Dude,
thing for a bring
it's-
back party mode.
Yeah.
Another one for the thermometer. Bring it
Yeah.
back.
Bring it back. The return.
1 million.
That game is incredible.
That game is fantastic. I was reigning champ for a long time, and then,
Oh, Jesus.
When you got
Yeah,
taken out by
lots of
Mavis.
yeah.
Dear old Mavis, 97-year-old Mavis.
Yeah. It's a fun game, though.
It is. I love Ultimate Chicken Horse.
Phil, did you have another...
Benny,
community-
Robin, Phil? Yeah.
We have,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we have that one final question, but I want
The
to say
final... Okay, yeah, we'll save that.
Yeah.
Robin, you have it...
Blessing, what's your album of the year so far?
Oh, you're
Music
asking
talk.
me you're asking me the difficult questions.
Yeah.
Let me boot up my Spotify. Honestly, so
And
apparently
why is it the
I've-
Weekend album?
the album I've listened to the most this year has been Logic's album, No Pressure, and I wasn't expecting that to be the case, but like I look at my
Everybody
top
dropped
songs 2020, and like 5 out of 10 of my top songs are from that Logic album, and I don't know how. Actually, I do know because I listen to it nonstop. But I don't like that's the album I listened to most this year. I don't know if it's my favorite album, though I really do like that album. Scrolling through. Have you
We know
heard
Robin's is
of
Billie Eilish.
the Oh yeah, of course. Got to
Of
shout out to
course.
Billie Eilish.
I hope I know what Robin's is. I hope.
Try.
You know what? I'm just gonna say that Logic album because I don't know if this year wasn't like the greatest year for music for me. I don't think like a lot of stuff. Oh, you know what? There is an album from Royce the 5'9" that was also very good. Who's a rapper like raps with Eminem and all this stuff. That album's up there for me. There's another rapper named John Gibbs who put out a project very good. I listened to a lot of Hamilton this year. Also, Busta Rhymes put out a great album this year. But yeah, I'm going to say
I was
Logic.
forgetting he's
Logic,
still
No
alive.
Pressure.
Every time somebody brings up Busta Rhymes, I'm like, he's not dead?
He's like, he's still here.
I don't know
He's
why.
with us.
I don't know why. I just imagine he's like an 80-year-old
Still in this
guy
mortal
like,
plane?
in a retired role, but he's...
The interesting thing about Busta Rhymes is that the album that came out just recently, it was actually like in the works since like 2013, 2014, something like that. And there's been songs that have been kind of demoed from it for a while, but it's like,
Oh yeah.
it's interesting how long that's been gestating.
That doesn't surprise me. After what Dre did with his Compton album, well, at first it was oh god, what was
Detox?
this? Yeah, like rumoring that forever and putting out like a track from it, and then 5 years later he kills it, and then comes back 5 years later with something new. Doesn't surprise me when people, do that. I'm like, whatever. They'll put something out eventually. Come on. What were you gonna say, Phil?
Poor Robin.
I just wanted to move away
We
from,
just
or
started to
not,
feel for him.
I just wanted to say one thing. Do we think Logic is actually retired? Like, I mean,
don't think
obviously he'll
permanently.
probably release something from his alter egos, but like, do we think Logic in and of himself is retired?
I think for a while, because he just
Yeah,
had
I
a
think so
kid,
too.
so I think he wants to spend time with his kid. But
Sure.
I feel like he's
Yeah.
probably still doing stuff on the side when he has time, but it's probably gonna be a while before we see something else.
He had a couple of features on the new Juicy J album, and so like he's still like somewhat active. But I think this last album he probably thinks of as the end of his current run. because like Logic's put out like what feels like a billion albums within the last 6 years, and like I think for him, especially with the family and stuff, he's probably like, all right, I'm done. I think he'll put out more stuff, but I think it'll be like way like more so like one-off things. Like I don't think he's gonna be consistent anymore in the way that he's
Got
been
it.
consistent for the last 6 years.
I was just thinking about Childish Gambino, because he said his last album was going to be, the one that he did most recently. But then he just tweeted, like a month or two ago, that he was working on a new album.
Yeah.
I hope so, man. I didn't really
can't
like
wait
that
for
last album he did.
It had,
I get that.
it had some
I had
good
a couple of
stuff,
songs,
yeah.
but
Okay,
overall,
Robin, I have to know yours now since you're the one that brought it up.
What do you think it is?
It's Vin Diesel. Feel like I do. It's got to be.
Oh, it is.
No, it's The Weeknd, dude. After Hours.
Oh, nice.
I gotta listen to that.
Dude, yeah, you do. It's so good.
Robin, you'll have to send me some tracks because I've got no idea.
Oh yeah,
I don't listen
will.
to much music, to be fair.
Damn. I was hoping you were gonna bring up Tickets to My Downfall, but whatever.
Oh yeah,
Damn.
that's pretty good.
That's
too.
what you're
Oh, there's
doing.
also a good Janae
So
Janae
good.
Aiko album that came out this year that I really liked.
Shout
you
out
like
to Taylor Swift
R&B.
as well.
Taylor Swift too, yeah.
So, and instead of asking this question at the end, since we're talking about music now, Caesar Towers asks, I recently started listening to hip hop and rap more. Do you have any recommendations? So since we're already in this space, like what kind of recommendations would you have for community
Ooh.
member Caesar Towers?
If you just started listening to rap and hip hop, I would recommend Logic. Like I think Logic is very accessible in terms of rap. Like he's like a rapper ass rapper, right? Like he has like good lyrics, he has good flows, he has like good fundamentals, like good foundation in terms of how he like the way he raps and the way he delivers. He delivers like he's from the 90s but like reborn in the 2020s or whatever. And like he puts out good solid music that is positive. So Logic I would recommend. J. Cole is one of my favorites. I think J. Cole is fantastic. I'd recommend I'd recommend 2014 Forest Hills Drive. That's like one of my favorite albums of all time. It's like it's probably his best album. So I definitely recommend that. If you want to get a little more not unknown because people know who this is, but like if beneath the surface, right? Beneath the mainstream a little bit. Hit Boy is a very popular producer. He produces so many big hits. But he also raps a bit, and like people don't really know him much for his raps. People know him more so for his production. But he put out an album called the Chauncey Hollis Project. It came out this year, and it is a fantastic rap album. Like a lot of solid songs on here, a lot of solid productions. He's doing his thing, and so I recommend that. And then, you know what, man? A left field recommendation I'm gonna throw at you. Jaden Smith Sire, I think is a fantastic album, and I always go back to it and really enjoy it. And sonically, it is good. Like musically, it has a lot going for it in terms of its production, in terms of the different sounds he's using. There's like a lot of vibes going on in that album, along with like good lyricism and stuff. Highly recommend it. I think even if you're a new rap fan, it'll be a good one. Like it's easily digestible in a way for that I can see for new rap fans, and so that's another one I'd suggest.
Are
I got
you
more,
into
but I'll
UK
stop.
grime at all?
A little bit, yeah. I was even gonna say like I've been listening to Stormzy a little bit
shit.
lately.
All the stuff you can't understand.
Watch Dogs Legion Extraordinaire.
Oh yeah. His song Rainfall is like my favorite song from him. Like I have that song on repeat all the time. And so yeah, Stormzy I'd recommend. Like Skepta is another one I'd recommend. I like Skepta. What's her name? Little
Jamie.
Sims. Jamie, yeah. There's a girl named Little Sims who is dope. And now I'm doing the thing where I've recommended way too much, and you're not gonna have the time to check out all these things. But I'm gonna say them anyway. Little Sims, UK rapper, she is amazing. Her album Gray Area, it was like my album of the year last year. Fantastic, highly recommended. And there's also Heady One for UK rappers.
Yeah,
I could name a bunch of UK rappers, but
I've got one for Caesar as well, and he's like a grime artist, but he's more like a jokey sort of grime artist. But that's Unknown P. He's hilarious. Check out his stuff. It's great.
I thought you were gonna say
He's
Big
got some-
Shaq.
You don't know. Like, he's like
Yeah.
he's like Big Shaq's there, but Unknown P is like there for me.
Mm,
He's
Yeah.
he's a lot better with his flows.
doesn't know.
Unknown for sure.
Shut up, Gage. Oh, fair enough. Oh, thanks.
I would recommend Machine Gun Kelly. He would be my
I'd
recommendation.
recommend Lucy
Yeah.
Camp.
Lucy Camp also
Ooh,
fantastic.
yes.
If you're not a Machine Gun Kelly fan, I recommend you go listen to his quarantine sessions because they are fantastic. They're only on YouTube right now. He hasn't like
I know he was on the Tony Hawk soundtrack, and he had like some like rock music on there, which I wasn't expecting.
hell yes. His last album was a pop punk album produced with Travis Barker. Fantastic. Fantastic. But yeah.
Bless. Game of the year.
Yes. You'll have to wait and see on the Kind of Funny Games Cast Game of the Year.
Oh damn! I got
Ooh,
to
great
out.
tease.
Nice.
Great tease.
Cool.
Ben, did you have community questions that you were gonna ask?
No, I'm all out of questions actually.
Okay, I wasn't sure if we like cut you off and didn't let you go or something.
Is there one question that I should be asking?
No, I was like, you didn't be asking because I knew you had questions earlier. I wasn't sure we got through all of them.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Mummy
It's
or
hard to tell
First
because
Daddy?
we
Which one
don't, we
do you
don't see
prefer?
anything, so it's all like, yeah, asking questions.
No, I'd just like to say huge thanks for Bliss for coming on the show. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
It's
it's
been
been awesome.
fantastic.
Dude, thank you so
Like
much
I-
for having me.
yeah.
This has been awesome. I've not guested on too many podcasts that are either community podcasts or like podcasts that aren't like IGN stuff within the last year, and so it's super awesome. This feels like a return to form for me, where I'm able to just kick it and have a good time, and like not necessarily talk about video games the whole time, even though we talked about Metal Gear Solid a lot, which we should. Like, this feels like I'm back at like kicking it at a bar at like a community event or whatever, right? Where it is like us chopping about whatever and talking about Metal Gear Solid, which is the way it should be.
Right.
So thank you again. I appreciate you guys for hitting me up, and I appreciate you guys for doing all this period. Like, this has been awesome to see and grow. And seeing the Photoshop challenges appear on my Twitter despite KFBF being canceled has been like a pleasant thing. Because
We're
like all the
sorry.
people that participate are super talented, and so shout out to you guys and all the people who do the Photoshop challenges.
Oh, thanks.
Definitely.
Cheers.
Definitely.
Thanks.
Yeah, you are more than welcome anytime to join us on here. We don't really do anything else except for the
Hey,
Photoshop challenge.
if you
right
pay
now.
me enough, I'll leave Kind of Funny and just join you guys.
Bro, I
Say
can
the
pay
word.
you a whopping nothing
Say
right
the
now.
word.
It's great.
We we've been kind of running through some people for subjects for the Photoshop challenge, and you're going to come up eventually. So we'd love
Again.
to have you on that show for a react. Well,
Oh, sweet.
again, yes, but I mean as like a main subject
Yeah,
instead of the
not a
Halloween
battle
thing.
against Greg for Halloween King.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, hit me up,
Uh,
holler at me. I'm down to do that.
Be fantastic.
See what these folks have to
Yeah.
submit.
Let's a step our game up.
Right? Well, I would obviously ask you, Blessing, to tell everybody where they can find you, but I'm pretty sure they already know they can find you over
Oh,
at
yeah.
Kind of Funny Games. At what's your Twitter handle? Is it Blessing Jr.?
Yes, Blessing Jr. It's Blessing Jr.
Awesome. Camille, where can people find you, or if you want to pimp anything out?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Yeah, I
You
host
have
the
10
Poke
seconds.
Ramble podcast that's
Yeah.
on YouTube and Spotify at the Poke Ramble podcast. I stream it live every Sunday at 11:30 PT, 7:30 GMT on twitch.tv/KamaleH.
That's for the American people. That's Camille H. H.
Thank you very much.
Dude, I still remember it was like a couple weeks ago. You were trying to tell me how to type something. I forgot what I was looking up. It was like a game title or something. And you're like, it's like M, like what? Say, what? The letter I'm like R. I get it. Okay, thanks, Camille.
Yeah, fuck you, Gage. Fuck you.
Like I don't know why I was so baffled. I didn't understand what you were saying. I'm like,
It's like,
oh
what
no,
the
that
fuck is he
makes
trying to
sense.
say to me?
Why is he just saying what's
like
happening?
server privileges just to mute this bastard.
Oh my
Love you,
god.
buddy. Love you, buddy. Oh, shit.
Ben.
So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Yeah. Ben, you have a new episode of your podcast coming out, right?
Oh yes, so you can find me at please the letter B excited on Twitter, twitch.tv/please be excited, and yeah, the oupod.com is the official unofficial review for Die Hard will be going up soon. We also do the official and unofficial reviews of every episode of season 1 of New Girl, so we're up to about episode 9. So pop on there, check it out. It's always a fun time.
Robin, where can people find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at @TheRobinGL. That's pretty much it.
You can also find him in Sweden.
Yeah, let's come hang out.
Yeah, he lives next to PewDiePie. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
The worst thing is that you can hear him from your house.
Yeah.
And it's like, PewDiePie, stop saying that. You can't say that word, PewDiePie.
Someone needs to tell him to stop saying stuff.
I mean, we can't really say that. Our initials are SS, and that,
Yeah.
oversight there.
But we didn't think that.
No, we didn't think that through at all. Phil, what about you? Where can people find you?
I'm mostly on Twitter at Phil, PhillJ Woodward on Twitter, mostly doing art, photoshops, and voice work. You can also find me at simplysassyvids.com, as well as guesting on the oupod.com. Someday Kumail will let me on Poke Ramble, someday.
Next year we're having guests on, I promise.
And then, those are the main places you can find me. And just remember, you're all pretty good.
Good.
Not topping
good,
that at that
Phil. Oh
point.
my god. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can find me on Twitter at GF2Cool if you want. I don't really care at all.
He cares.
He does.
No matter how many follow, nothing is gonna cover the pain of not getting a PlayStation 5 yet. Okay, it's just.
Oh damn,
Maybe-
you weren't able to get one?
No, every drop I've been like sitting on
Damn,
my
that
PC
sucks.
with
I
like,
got 6. Can you imagine if I just started holding up your PS5?
We were joking that Walmart's game of the year is Gage because they played him so well.
yeah.
He had one in his little checkout.
That's really funny.
Dude, I did. I should have had it in there. Like I answered my card information. I hit like whatever the final button was. It was like confirm purchase. I hit it, and it just spun for like 30 seconds, and then went to like the website is down screen. I'm like,
Dude, Walmart fucked me too. I bought mine, and then my bank hit me up and was like, "Hey, we just declined this thing from your bank because we saw that it was a big purchase." And I was like, "No, wait, no." And then they were sold out, and so like I couldn't get it back. And so thankfully Target came through, and then thankfully Sony came through.
Yeah,
But
that's
my
playful.
roommate ended up getting my Target one, thankfully.
Is that
Nice.
why you like GTA bank heists? Just for revenge? Just like you
Oh yeah,
bastards.
100%. Oh man, yeah, no, fuck the big guy, fuck the corporations. I'm out. I'm after you.
Fair enough.
thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Well, maybe.
Bye.